Nice, very nice. Looking great.
We were in the middle of shooting when Annie Leibovitz came out to take her stills.
Excellent. Very nice.
Annie was, in a way, sort of our first audience.
That's great. Great.
And so just having someone else's eye taking this in for the first time and love it was really cool.
With Ryan, with the cast, and with the audience, we all get to discover who these characters are.
Everything is being shifted in an opposite way to what the audience expected after 7.
The enthusiasm and how much ownership they've taken has really been exciting.
Nice, very nice.
I get to be part of this amazing story and to be on a set with the most incredible crew. It's wonderful.
It's so much different in many ways than the other episodes, and yet I think it's very satisfying in delivering what the fans want to see.
I cannot wait for people to get a glimpse of the stuff we're doing.
New Star Wars The Last Jedi, let's break it down. You may have also spotted that we got a bunch of new characters in that footage. So that's the Canto Bight casino planet that you may have heard about that Laura Dern's character shows up on and Finn and Rose's characters get involved with. So I'll explain that at the end of the video. There's a whole bunch of stuff to get through. Now that we're hitting the summer, we're actually going to start seeing a lot more Last Jedi stuff dropping, so be sure to subscribe to get everything if you're brand new to the channel, and let me know what kind of Star Wars videos you guys want me to do. But this is all part of a Vanity Fair photo shoot. You may remember they did the same thing last year before The Force Awakens, where we got our first look at Kylo Ren without his helmet on. But let's start with the big stuff first. Kylo Ren, Phasma with her helmet off, and everybody is wearing evil person capes. What would Team Darkseid be without space capes? One of my favorite costumes from last year was Krennic's, one because it's white, so it invokes a lot of the imagery of the Grand Admiral, even though he was not one, but it just says so much about a character when they wear a cape. Just because it's not common to wear a cape in the Empire, you notice that most of them just walk around in their normal uniforms. But I did see that a lot of people were surprised that Phasma is back. So if you didn't know, they actually gave assurances after Episode 7 came out, and she had a very brief appearance that she would be much bigger in Episode 8. They didn't say exactly what her role would be, but we saw her in the trailer. It looked like she was wrecking the Resistance, and Rian Johnson did say that when the movie picks up, they are doubling down. Like, even though they lost the Starkiller base, there's more chaos than ever because they destroyed a large portion of the New Republic, but the galaxy is huge, and just because they blew up a couple of those planets doesn't mean that they completely destroyed everything that was the New Republic. They don't control everything, so they're scrambling for territory at the beginning of the movie. And evil space capes aside, there's not that many costume changes. Phasma's wearing the same armor. She got thrown down a garbage chute, so the armor's probably just gotten a good polish. That's about it. Kylo Ren's costume is a little bit different. His makeup is probably the biggest change, just that big scar that's no longer running down the bridge of his nose, which I think we can all agree was a good choice by Rian Johnson. You look at it here and you're like, yeah, that was definitely weird. That would be strange to walk around staring at that for 2 hours in a movie. Just that look on Phasma's face is so awesome, and I'm really hoping that Kylo Ren goes full tantrum and kills General Hux, because they have this nice rivalry that's going on. But for all of his faults, if he has the grit to kill Han Solo, his father, then what's killing another Imperial general? It's just another Darth Vader moment, just killing every officer that displeases him. So hopefully we'll see something like that in Episode 8. I love this footage of Adam Driver behind the scenes swinging the lightsaber around. Does that not remind you of a lightsaber kid from way back on the internet? That was one of the first big memes. It was so hilarious. So it's just funny to laugh about that and then laugh about Kylo Ren just a little bit too. Maybe he can redeem himself in Last Jedi. I expect him to show up in the next trailer too in a much bigger way. Luke and Rey aren't that different. There are a lot of people remarking how the color brown is so important in a lot of these photos, whereas the color red from the trailer seems much more important. So some of the color choices seem a little weird, but I think that's just meant to invoke the Jedi browns. But if you look down here, you can see Luke has covered up his metal hand with a brown glove. That's probably just for practicality, because they have to use special effects every time they have his hand on screen. So it's just easier for him to put the glove on so he doesn't have to wear any special prosthetics. This is just the same costume that Rey was wearing at the end of Episode 7. We know that she changes into this at some point. There are a couple characters that got costume changes. We got a preview for Rey and Kylo Ren. Poe finally found himself a new jacket. That's the new character Rose over there. She and Finn go on an adventure together. I don't know if Poe is going to be a part of that, but John Boyega was hyping up a lot of Finn adventure with the Rose character who kind of gets swept up in things. We see him in the Bacta suit here. This is obviously very early in the movie. This scene here looks like the First Order raiding the Resistance base because, it seems like things only go from bad to worse and the tone of the movie is much darker. So if you thought the Resistance was a fraction of the size of the Rebellion, it's going to be getting even smaller. They just want to really, really make them feel like underdogs. So you guys can let me know what you think about them scaling down the galactic conflict. So during the original trilogy, you had like a really big rebellion fleet against a huge Imperial fleet. Now they've scaled that way back. The First Order has a large fleet, but it's not nearly as large as the original Empire's fleet. In all these ships you're seeing here, pretty much the Resistance fleet. So everything's been scaled way down, and I think it makes it a little bit more personal, a little bit more of a dogfight. The Canto Bight stuff all looks fantastic, so most of what you've seen of the New Republic so far is in that really quick shot before they blow those planets up, and then with the Resistance characters, General Leia, who wears very Spartan clothing. She's very simple. She doesn't get dressed up as much as she did before the destruction of Alderaan. So Laura Dern's character is sort of the counterpoint to that. So, she's a really big figure in the New Republic, but a lot of her design language, the way she dresses, is more influenced by the prequel trilogy than, say, the original trilogy, which informs more of the design around Leia's character. Like the places where she is, like you can see them here in this Resistance base here. It looks like it's underground, and then you have the Canto Bight stuff, which is just like the height of opulence. Benicio del Toro's character does not appear in any of this footage here, but he does appear in this picture. He's a big Canto Bight character. He's sort of like the Lando Calrissian of that planet. And for those that are asking, Billy D. Williams did confirm that he was nowhere in Last Jedi, so if he's going to appear in any of the movies, it's going to have to be Episode 9. But of all this Canto Bight stuff, the funniest thing that people have been talking about is this tiny little alien here. They're like, he's probably the richest person on the planet, but he looks like he's plant-based. They haven't said anything about who he is. He's just a new character that they created for this. So let me know what you guys think about this little creature here. But obviously he's intelligent. He's just incredibly small. But Resistance Commander General Leia, so she's wearing this giant flowing brown robe. We've seen a couple different costumes that she's in, and obviously in the trailer, she's in a slightly different version of this too, staring at this blue holo display of the galaxy. There are a couple costume additions that we haven't seen her wearing before. She wasn't wearing a lot of jewelry when we saw her during Episode 7, so some of this could be in memorial for Han Solo, or it could just be for this photo shoot that they did. But like I said, most of the stuff where they're shooting her here is in Resistance base underground looking places, and they have all these pictures of her with Luke. That could be when they share scenes together. They do actually have scenes together in the movie, but I don't know how much it's going to be, so they will be extra special. Just a really good way to pay memorial to Carrie Fisher. But a lot of these scenes here with them all sitting together, like you see Rey behind the scenes talking to Poe, Finn, that might just be from this photo shoot. That doesn't mean they necessarily share scenes together. Because even though the movie is taking a lot of left turns from Empire plot, like people are like, okay, it's the middle movie, it's going to feel like Empire. There are a lot of things that are similar to Empire. One of the biggest things is that everyone is split up. So like Luke was not with Han and Leia for most of Empire Strikes Back. But a lot of you were asking me about like the big news about them supposedly having some earth-shattering reveal that was going to happen during Episode 8, and people were wondering what that was. Is it going to be Rey's parents? Is it going to be something else? Really, I don't think it's that complicated. I think all it is just the revelation that the Wills are a real thing. They haven't really invoked them in the films that much. They come into play with the Guardians of the Wills during Rogue One, but that's really the beginning of them setting up the new canon of the Force, the things that they're adding to it. So obviously they're not throwing out a lot of the stuff that George Lucas set up. That's all still canon from the original films, from Rebels, even Clone Wars is still canon. So everything that you learned about the Force from those things is still good. But we talked about the concept of the Journal of the Wills and the idea that there is some greater truth to the Force that's been lost over time, and everyone's searching for the original Jedi Temple so that they can find this book and learn what the truth of things are. That's probably why Luke Skywalker is so hot on ending the Jedi Order once and for all. Not that he wants to end Jedi, he just sounds like he's grown very disillusioned with their practices and their beliefs, and he wants to find some new path. But I posted that interview video where Rian Johnson stops himself from spoiling a big part of the movie, a big reveal about Rey's identity. That probably gets into what a lot of the big reveal is, like, oh my god, the Wills are a thing. What is the Journal of the Wills? What does it say? What is the real truth of the Force? and then they'll leave a lot of the job of explaining that to episode 9. Just like you learn all about Luke Skywalker's father being Darth Vader during Empire, but you really don't learn what that means and explore the deeper context till you get to Jedi. But leave all your requests for Star Wars bonus videos if there's any concepts you guys want me to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if they attach another trailer to Spider-Man Homecoming this summer, because that's probably when they're going to drop another Thor trailer. Disney really likes to group all their trailers together for big releases, so I wouldn't expect new footage at least until then. But while you wait for everything, you can click here for that interview video where they preview what's going on during the movie, and you can click here for my trailer breakdown. Thank you so much for watching. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.